This next segment has the title, The Influence of Vermont on the Course of AA's Later Ideas. I don't think we had any idea how much of AA's groundwork was laid in the state of Vermont. Both founders went there and born and raised there, and so we've discovered that Vermont had a lot to do with AA. Now, I'm going to go through some things that will demonstrate that point. Almost every major source of AA from the 1850s forward involved the people of and activities in Vermont. In one way or another, these sources later had their impact on the Christian upbringing of Bill and Bob and the organization in which these men were or became active in their Vermont youth. The next segment is titled 6 Christian Vermonters or Summer Residents of Vermont Involved in Early AA. At least 6 Christians who were either Vermonters, born and raised, or regular summer visitors, summer people, were in their own ways to pick up the mantle of Christianity, learn from the Bible and the earlier ambassadors for Christ, and dive directly into the task of helping others establish a relationship with God through His Son Jesus Christ, and one by one overcome their respective serious drinking problems. And the 6 were, and the first subhead is William Griffith Wilson, Bill W., from East Dorset, Vermont. And we will show you a picture, the title of that is William Griffith Wilson from East Dorset, Vermont. And we'll show you a picture of Bill W. William Griffith Wilson was born on November 26, 1895 in East Dorset, Vermont, and spent his first few years growing up there. He received his Christian training and education in East Dorset, Rutland, Manchester, and Northfield, all in Vermont. The second subhead is Robert Holbrook Smith, Dr. Bob, from St. John's Ferry, Vermont. And we'll show you a photo of Dr. Bob. Dr. Bob was born on August 8, 1879 in St. John's Ferry, Vermont. He was raised there and also received his Christian training and education there up to and through his graduation from St. Johnsbury Academy in the summer of 1898, after which he left the state to go to the college at Dartmouth. The next subhead is Edwin Throckmorton Thatcher, whom everybody came to call Ebby. Bill's friend Ebby, along with his family from Albany, New York, was a regular summer visitor to Manchester, Vermont, home of Burr and Burton Seminary, where Bill was a student for 4 years. And Ebby met Bill in Vermont. Ebby and his family regularly summered there in Manchester and at Emerald Lake, Vermont. Ebby eventually attended Burr and Burton Seminary in Manchester for 1 year during 1912 to 13, which was Bill's senior year at the seminary, and later still briefly at Norwich University, a military academy in Northfield, Vermont, according to information provided on page 40 of the Lois Wilson story by William G. Borchardt. Ebby was rescued from incarceration for inebriative and alcoholism itself by 3 Oxford group members. Also, through them, Ebby was reminded about the efficacy of prayer, Jesus Christ and Bible times, as well as first-century Christian principles, all things he had long ago learned and believed as a youngster, particularly since Ebby sprang from a long line of clergy in his family. Roland Hazard and Shepard Cornell of the Oxford group helped to get Ebby lodging in Calvary Mission in New York. There, Ebby was born again and had previously overcome his drinking problem for a time. The next subhead is Roland Hazard, a name that's, all these names have been misspelled by AAs. Thatcher is spelled Thacher. Hazard is spelled Hazard, and Roland's name is spelled Rowland. Roland was a businessman originally from Peacedale, Rhode Island. Roland later became a large landowner and summer visitor in Glastonbury, Vermont. Roland had been a drunkard who was given by the famous psychiatrist Dr. Carl Gustav Jung the option of being cured of alcoholism through a vital religious experience. Failing in Dr. Jung's treatment, Roland returned to the United States. But he then made a decision for Christ, worked with the Oxford group leader and rector of Calvary Church in New York, Reverend Sam Shoemaker, and he joined the Oxford group. Ebby Thatcher had been slated for incarceration for alcoholism, but he was paroled by Judge Collins Graves of Bennington, Vermont. He was turned over to the custody of Roland Hazard. And it was Roland who taught Ebby about A, Dr. Jung's vital religious experience solution for alcoholism, B, who himself had become a born-again Christian, and C, who had been the primary teacher instructing Ebby about Oxford group principles, the availability of prayer, and about Bible times in Christ, principles that Ebby had learned as a youngster and believed. The next subhead is F. Shepard Cornell, known as Shep C., a summer visitor in Vermont. And he was, with Vermont resident and attorney Sebra Graves, one of the first two Vermont men from the Oxford group to begin helping Ebby. Shep Cornell was an Oxford group activist. He joined with Vermont attorney Sebra Graves in witnessing to Ebby in order to help him overcome his alcoholism. Shep also later lodged Ebby in Calvary Mission in New York, and later still, Shep attended Oxford group meetings with Bill, Bill's wife Lois, and Ebby Thatcher, once Bill had gotten sober in New York. And the last of the six, the subhead is Sebra Graves. Sebra G. was the young attorney and Vermont resident from Bennington, Vermont, who joined Shep in witnessing to Ebby. Sebra's father, Judge Graves, paroled Ebby to Roland Hazard and saved Ebby from incarceration for drunkenness. Sebra himself had helped instruct Ebby about Oxford group principles, prayer, Christ, and the Bible, just as the other two friends, Roland and Shep, had joined in doing.